Today we're going to launch our dispute resolution principles. Some people out there like to call them model litigant, and it's important, I think, because while a lot of these look common sense, Colin, I think one thing we've realised is, you know, in some of our minds we understand what dispute resolution principles mean, but I think it's an opportunity for us to have discussion internally and externally. Yes. I know you're the author, so tell us a bit about what they are.
I've had a lot of support from within the bank in developing these principles, and really it's good to have a nice, easy to read, simply expressed expression of our dispute resolution principles in the one place on one A4 sheet of paper. And that's what we have achieved.
What I think's good about these, and when I read them again this morning to remind myself, because we've been working on these for 2 to 3 months.
Yes.
There's not a legal word in there. Now, we all love our lawyers, but There's not a legal word in there. It's plain English.
It contains general principles like listening intently, listening to what the customer says, which of course fits very nicely with our engagement with customers, the principle that we have more generally. And the other general principle, which I think is very important, is that it requires us to follow through where in relation to a dispute we think that dispute could involve other customers. Then we need to follow through and see whether or not there's other things that we need to be doing in order to fix up a more general problem.
And before we launched these, we also had a conversation with some of the customer groups and got a bit of feedback there.
Yes, we did. There are a lot of people out there who are very interested in this issue of model litigant in particular. This is a document that we are going to publish now, but we're always interested in getting feedback, and therefore anyone who wishes to make some comments about them in due course from outside, well then of course we'll always listen to that. And I think one of the really key things which are expressed in managing legal proceedings here is that the bank is not going to pursue a right legally unless it's really convinced that it's got that right. Now that's very obvious and is really acknowledged by the behaviour of the bank already, but it's really good to have it here in black and white in a nice summary document, which we have.
I think it's really important just for the broader organisation that we have something written down. It also keeps us honest, we have to check ourselves against it, which I like. And for me, and I don't know about you, for most importantly, this has now been circulated to our external legal firm partners, and we've asked them to cascade that down because they act on our behalf a lot of times.
Yes.
And we don't always get to see what happens in those arenas. So I really think that's an important part of this.
Look, I agree, because having that message, which is really then going throughout the whole community where legal proceedings are involved, that our legal firms will behave appropriately and, to use one of my favourite words, fairly, as far as customers are concerned, especially when our customers are self-represented, which quite often happens, unfortunately, because legal proceedings are very expensive. It's really important that legal firms treat people fairly in the context of legal proceedings.
I mean, I think we both hope we don't get to that point, and hopefully these will prevent more cases getting to that point, but occasionally we're not going to agree on the facts or on what we believe to be the right solution. So I think it is important in those circumstances.
Yes, I agree. And again, you know, in summary, what we've got here is a really good summary of dispute resolution principles, starting with general principles, leading through managing complaints and disputes, and then finishing up with managing legal proceedings in an appropriate way.
We've got principles on page now. I suppose my role is to operationalise these, make sure when we're dealing with customers in that initial complaint phase, we actually genuinely take these into account, hold ourselves to account, and I'd hope if we do this, we do end up with less cases in that legal dispute situation, or to be honest, less cases you have to deal with because they've escalated right up the levels and to a point where we need someone independent.